Hey everyone, it's Justine and welcome to day 10 of the 12 Days of Christmas 2017. Today's video is featuring the Merry and Bright kit from Gina Designs, and I've designed 3 completely totally different cards to show you the versatility of this card kit. This card kit here actually has a value of $123 and retails for only $59.95. I'm going to show you each of the items in here, but you can see it comes with 2 6x8 stamps, which alone, if you were to buy those, are almost nearly the price of the kit itself before you even add in all the coordinating dies. So you get 24 pieces of cardstock, you get some base weight white and layering white, you get some black, turquoise sea, blue denim, green grass, and red velvet. So you get a nice assortment of colors. So if you want to go traditional, black and white, you could go blue and white, or even some turquoise for some non-traditional Christmas colors. You really have an amazing assortment. And Gina actually has coordinating inks for all of these colors if you wanted to add those onto your order. So after those 24 pieces of cardstock, you of course are left with a bunch of other goodies that are going to be in your collection for a long time. So this is the first 6x8 stamp. It's absolutely gorgeous. You have the wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year sentiment. You have the Holly Jolly Christmas, the beautiful tree stamp. You have poinsettias here that you can layer, some leaves, holly, and this gorgeous ornament that actually looks 3D and rounded the way the graphic is. And you get the coordinating dies as well for all of those images. That is such an amazing value. And I love the dies. They are so great. And they already come pre-cut, and that is a big plus in my books. The next one, you get these really pretty sentiments, Christmas, holiday, and Hanukkah. And then you also have a whole bunch of coordinating little words to go with them for endless possibilities. Some lovely pine cones, snowflakes, and it comes with some coordinating dies as well. So it comes with the actual sentiments, so you can use these with the stamp or actually on their own. And then also it comes with the shadow behind them, so you can actually layer them up. And it comes with all the coordinating dies for these images as well. So you can see you can cut out holiday and stamp it, or you can just cut out holiday with the other set. Super versatile and really amazing. The dies are unbelievable. You get 3 full sets. And they come on Stampin' Storage magnet sheets, which are very strong, stand up on their own, and you can keep them for easy storage. So let's get started on all 3 of those cards. Sorry for taking so long with the explanation here, but I find the value is so amazing that I had to actually show you the whole kit. So I'm going to be stamping using some Versamark ink, and I'm going to be stamping that beautiful ornament and the sentiment onto some black cardstock. Now, it's not too often I use black in my Christmas cards because I like to be pretty cheerful. However, I thought I'd make an exception today, just to show you how elegant they can be as well. So I'm going to dump some gold embossing powder. Now in the final layout, you'll notice that I changed my mind a little bit and make it a little bit more complex than this, but you're going to see the original card that I had made and how I had made it a little bit more complex. So if you have some more time on your hands, you could try the more complicated version, or if you're a beginner or don't have a lot of time, you can simply stamp this with Versamark and emboss it in gold and call it a day. Okay, so once that embossing powder all melted here, I mounted it onto a white card base. I had originally made a silver one and a red on white one as well, but those didn't make the cut for my favorite cards. I didn't want to show off too many, so I didn't keep you here for 20-30 minutes today making cards. So again, you can switch out your colors on this, make some blue on white, red on white, whatever you like. Then I decided I wanted to make it a little bit more complex. So I took a Post-it note and I stamped the ornament using some black ink. And I just used any black ink that was in my stash. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to cut it out and use this as a mask. So I just grabbed the first thing on hand. I'm going to stick that onto my card here, and then I'm going to use that as a mask and stamp this again with some Versamark ink so I can emboss a second one behind the ornament I've already done. I dumped the gold embossing powder on the front, take off the Post-it, wipe off any excess embossing powder, and then I went ahead and melted the embossing powder onto the card. Now that that was done, I thought it looked a little bit funny, so I decided to add a third ornament to it. So what I intended to do here was just grab another Post-it note, and I needed to cut off a little bit more than just the side, so I went ahead and doubled up the Post-it note, so I have 2 stuck together right now. I cut out the masks, so I cut 2 masks out in one, put them onto my paper, and I stamped an ornament behind those two, and this one's going to look like it's in the background behind those. So I covered it in embossing powder once again, got rid of any stray powder, dumped the excess back in the jar, and heated it up to make a third mask. So now we have these three gorgeous layered ornaments onto one card. For my second card, I wanted to make something completely different. So I wanted to use a blue on white look, and I wanted to use some of the more elegant stamps that come into this kit. Now those ornaments are very intricate, beautiful, elegant in themselves, but then I also find there's a really great elegance in simple stamps also. And I'm going to be using the branch today, as well as several of the snowflakes, and I'm going to be embossing them on white, on blue. So I picked those all up with my MISTI stamping tool. I'm going to stamp them down in some Versamark ink here, and I'm going to stamp them on a card. This card here is absolutely perfect for making bulk cards because it's so quick and easy. So I just stamped those 4 stamps there onto some blue cardstock, the blue denim, and then I went ahead and added some white embossing powder on top, and then all I did was emboss those, and I had my background finished already. So you could easily recreate these for multiple cards. So I went ahead and melted all the embossing powder on the background of this card, and then I decided to add the holiday die to the card, so I die cut that in white, and then I needed to place, of course, an additional sentiment because just having holiday on the front of my card would be a little bit strange. So these dies are super intricate. They're so gorgeous. I love the font on them, and of course they come also in Christmas and Hanukkah in both a stamp, a die on its own, and the shadow to go behind the stamps. So you could make just endless possibilities with these. Now for time purposes, I'm just going to skip over me gluing the holiday die onto the card, and I embossed the word wishes underneath exactly like I embossed the branch and snowflakes on this card. Now I personally like to get the most out of my cardstock, so I wanted to add a blue frame around this. So I actually took out a piece that I used for die cutting earlier, and I'm going to use that as a layer, and you don't even notice all the holes that are in the white cardstock, but I didn't have to use a separate sheet. So that's kind of a little trick to do too. So I added some glue to the back of my panel, and I glued that onto my cardstock here. Now I have this really nice sturdy base. I love the way this looks, and it's perfect for bulk making. Now, for the final card that I'm going to show off today, although I think I made about 10 by the time I was finished, I'm going to stamp a bunch of pine cones onto some white cardstock. Now, I decided in the end to do 2 different ones of these, so I ended up stamping double the amount and embossing double the amount and die cutting double the amount, but of course you could do it however you like. So I'm going to stamp with Versamark ink, and I'm going to stamp all over this cardstock. Now, one of my favorite things to do with pine cones is to emboss them in copper embossing powder. I think it looks so stunning and just got a little bit of an extra rather than stamping them in just some plain brown ink. So I went ahead and I heat embossed these, and since I've done heat embossing already several times in the video, I'm just speeding you up on warp speed here while this is going on. Now I went ahead and I die cut these all off screen using the coordinating dies that come with the stamp set in the stamp kit. So once I was finished, I had a nice pile of a whole bunch of pine cones, and I was ready to go. I went ahead and started gluing them randomly onto a sheet of white paper. Now remember, I ended up doing this twice, so if you're recreating this card, you'll either want to make a panel that is bigger, or you'll have to recreate these twice like I do. And then once I have my collage of pine cones everywhere, I'm going to take a stitched rectangle die, and I am going to die cut this to make 2 different panels. Now, in the beginning, I thought I was only making 1, so of course you could grab a bigger stitched rectangle die and just make a background entirely of these pine cones. So once I was finished, I just popped out the die. Now, because these pine cones are super thick, because I have a whole bunch of layers on them, I did have to kind of shimmy my cardstock sort of out of there, and a little bit kind of ripped off the sides, but not in a bad way. It was just that I had to do a little bit of cutting once I was finished, so I just had to run my scissors along the side there. And it cut off so easily because those lines were already indented in there from the die. So it just took me 2 extra seconds there. And I decided to glue 2 of these onto the panel of my card. I think they look so stunning and so elegant when they're all finished. And as I mentioned, you could just do one big background, but it's no big deal that I have the little white space in the middle because I'm going to be using a sentiment that's going to cover that. This time I decided to use the Shadow Christmas die, but I have to stamp it before I die cut it. So I went ahead and mounted my Christmas stamp here onto a block, and I'm using some black dye ink from Gina K Designs, and I'm going to stamp this onto a piece of the white layering weight paper. And then I'm going to die cut it using the Shadow die. So I went ahead and glued this down using some Tombow monoliquid adhesive, and then I simply off-screen added a tiny little Mary that I had stamped and cut out in a rectangle shape to the final card. I hope you enjoyed all 3 of these cards and the versatility they have. Now don't forget, Gina is actually sponsoring a $50 gift certificate. So generous, it's almost the entire value of this card kit if you wanted to pick it up if you won. So go ahead and leave a comment here in the video in order to have a chance to win, or you can head over to my blog and there'll be several other ways to win prizes. If you're still interested in some Christmas videos, you can go ahead and click on my playlist or subscribe to my channel on the right. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow for another card tutorial.